Hi everyone. Welcome to Tracy Bautista Color and also Ideation Playground. I am super thrilled and excited that you are joining me. If you are here live, please say hi. Let us know where you are in the world. And also, I would love to know if you have done any fun AI experiments in the last month or so. So if you're here joining me live, please say hi. And for those of you who are watching the replay, welcome. These sessions that I do are a bit spontaneous. I don't have a regular live schedule that I do, but from time to time I jump on. And today I wanted to do this particular live session because over the last couple of weeks we have been in my newsletter exploring AI. So we had AI Exploration Week and a live session last week called AI Exploration Day. So if you missed that, you can watch the replay right here in YouTube Live. If you go under my profile, under the live tabs, you can see all my previous live streams. And so, um, welcome, Karen, she said. Hi from Pennsylvania. She has not started AI yet. And I would love to know if you have or have not. That would be great for me to understand where everybody is at. So, for those of you who are new here, I am Tracy Bautista. I'm an artist, a designer, an author, an educator for over 2 decades, and a paint maker. I have a line of handcrafted artisanal mixed media products that I design here in my studio, and that has been a labor of love for the last 8 years. We're celebrating 8 years of Tracy Bautista Color. I can't believe it. And actually, I'm going to share a little sneak peek. So, if anybody is here who is a subscriber to my quarterly paint subscription boxes, I'm going to show a little sneak peek of the Woven Her Stories collection, which will be starting to ship next week. So I am really excited about this one. It's very personal and it incorporates a lot of my story and heritage into the color palette. And we're going to talk today a little bit about creative practice and my process and kind of do an overview of everything that I wrote about in my email newsletters this week, or the series that came out over the last couple of weeks. So if you're not on my newsletter or part of my VIP collectors club, you can do that. There'll be a link in the description. I don't know if it's there yet, but I will add it. So if you go to tracybautistacolor.com, you can join the newsletter there. And so one of the things that I love to teach about, I've taught mixed media for over 2 decades, so lots of classes. I've written 3 books, and I also love digital painting on Procreate. So I had taught my first Procreate class back in 2013, and my digital canvas class has been quite popular over the last decade, and it is a digital mixed media class that is specific to Procreate. And that class will be I'll have a whole brand new signature program of that in 2026, since Procreate just released their new version. So I'm really excited. I was trying to wait until they finally updated the software, so that, or the app, so that I could re-record and do a bunch of new videos. So that is part of what I teach. And then over the last year and a half, I've been really kind of diving in to, well, actually it's been 2.5 years, but I started probably talking about it and teaching about it back in 2023, AI and how to incorporate it into your creative practice. And I'm not talking only about generative AI art. I'm actually talking about using it as a as a resource for ideation, as a resource for writing, as a collaborator throughout your entire creative practice. It is amazing for all kinds of different um, ways to use it. You could use it as a critique partner. I mean, there's just so much you can do with it. So if you missed my last live, definitely go back and check that out. I'll be sharing more from time to time, but I do have a really great program called Ideation Playground that is focused on uh, teaching artists how to incorporate AI into their creative practice. So, hey Marie, welcome. Hi Michelle. Nice to have you all here. And for those of you who just joined, if you've been experimenting with AI, can you share what you've been working on and how you've been using it? I think it's always really fun to understand and to see what everybody as artists, how you're using it. And it just opens up so many more ideas, I think, for everybody. So, um, let's see, let me give you a little overview of what I am planning to talk about today. If I can find, I had it up. Oh, here it is. So I am going to give you a little peek inside a project that I like to call the Artist Style Guidebook. It is a program. It's actually a creative sprint that we're doing inside of Ideation Playground. It just started, and I wanted to just show you a little sneak peek into what some of those journals and pages look like. Because I think that a lot of people don't understand or haven't really got a feel for what that project is and what you can do with it. So inside of Ideation Playground, we are building out these style guidebooks for our creative practice, for our process, to kind of gather a lot of information about the art that we create, so we can use it to not only kind of have this really great reference and a portfolio, but also to use it to train the AI when you are working with it. Because the more that you work with the different AI tools, the better it gets, especially ChatGPT, Google Gemini, things like that. The better it gets at responding in a way that is in line with your own voice and your own style. So that's how this project came to be. And I want to show you just a few little things of ways that you could put together these types of books so that you have everything in one place and you can use it for so many different things, not just to train AI, but you could use it to help you brainstorm a new collection of work or a new body of work. You could use it to pull color palettes and create inspiration boards. You can use it to develop workshops and or products or writing. So if you have a blog or you have a newsletter, this big it can be all kinds of things. So I don't want to say document, because part of it is could be a digital document, but part of it is a physical actual book that you're putting together. But it is a really great way to kind of put together your artistic legacy in this one place. So I'm going to show you a little bit of mine and some of the things that I've pulled together. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are inside of Ideation Playground, and I'm going to show you a couple of demos of custom AI tools that I've built that are really fun to play with and to extract color palettes to help you write about your collections, to help you just answer questions throughout your creative practice. So I'm going to show a couple of demos, and then I will also give a little tour inside of Ideation Playground and show you what it looks like inside of the classroom. It's a ever growing library of content, and I would love to have you join us, especially if you are interested in mixed media, Procreate, and AI. There is a lot that we are going to be focused on over the next several months inside of Ideation Playground. So I'm going to switch my camera to the desktop, and then if you have questions, feel free to write them in the chat. Let me move this over so I can see the chat. And let's see. Okay. Let me get to my desk. And so on my studio table, it is a little jam-packed with lots of fun things. So if you're a Paint subscriber, just a sneak peek. If you don't want to see the new colors, some of the new colors, then look away for a few minutes. These are just some of the swatches of some of the colors. This is not all of the colors, but if you got a mini collection, this is one of the tiles that is part of that. So every season I design a collection of paint, and this is part of the swatches for this collection. And do I have, let me show you, I can show you the inspiration behind this in the mood board. So one of the things that I do when I first start a collection is gather photos, write stories, and let's put this in the center so you can see it, and imagery for what I want my collection to be, the theme, what it represents. And this particular collection is all about my heritage, and the colors come from different pieces of the of where my family is from. And so the colors tell that story, and so I put together, these different color palettes for it first, and just some ideas. And I usually start with something like this with a mood board and color swatches that I design in both Procreate and Canva. And then from here, I build out, use these as reference, and then I build out and design the actual paints. So it's kind of probably a little hard to see. Let me turn this over so you can see the color swatches. So these are some of the warm colors that are in this collection. There's a whole other set of blues and greens too, but that is what is going out in the next week or so. And I just thought I'd give you a little sneaky peek of it because I know many of you are anxiously awaiting it. This is probably one of my favorite colors in the collection. It's actually this color right here, which looks very brown, but when it's painted on paper, this is full strength, and then adding water to your brush. So you get these beautiful washes. It's a little bit granulating, and it's a really beautiful earth pigment mixed with a beautiful lake color. So that's the woven part of the Woven Her Stories collection. So if you are a subscriber or if you purchase that collection, it is going to be shipping soon, and I'm really, really excited about it. Marie said, gorgeous. Now I wish I had this. Yes, it was so fun. And every collection I design has been, like a really fun idea. And it just really amazes me once it kind of goes through the entire process from the inspiration boards like I showed you here, all the way to the final pieces. And actually, I have a big like foam core board that has a bunch of these pieces like collaged onto that board. So I keep it up in my studio while I'm working, while I'm designing the actual collection, and use that kind of as my guide to match the colors and whatnot. So last week, if you were here during the live session, I shared creating an artist inspiration card. And so I just pulled a few that I've designed in Procreate and wanted to show you what some of these look like and how you can use them. So if you did join us for that live, I'm going to do a little demo that showcases how you can use AI to further this idea or like what you created in these little snapshots. And we'll do that in a little bit. But I wanted to show you a few different ideas of what this little guidebook slash artist style guidebook playbook could be. I have a ton of sketchbooks and journals. I work in all kinds of different sizes, different shapes, different types. Strathmore is definitely one of my favorites that I use as far as the types of papers. I love all of their papers. And also my art is on the mixed media cover of the which one is it? The 500? No, 400 series. I always forget which one it is. I think it's the 400 series. But I wanted to kind of just show you what some of the things that you pull together for these guidebooks are, because this is what helps us kind of define your creative process and your creative style. And so I have this little mini journal. I probably made this like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I use it here and there to kind of put little pieces of, a lot of these are swatches of the handmade paints that I've made. But it's also collecting color. So one of the things that we do during one of the weeks is collect color for our guidebook, and we pull together bits and pieces of things that we've made in the past and use that to kind of inspire what we are going to be, working on and building throughout the 6-week creative sprint that we're doing. So I have this really fun little journal that I made, and I use it to kind of like gather all of these little bits and pieces for the different color experiments. And the great thing about this is then once you have something like this, I could take this and just take a little picture of it with my phone, and I'm just gonna do a really quick capture of it, and then this could be used as, actually I'm gonna do both of these together so I get a better like variety. So these little bits and pieces could also then be used inside of our artist style guidebook, because we're capturing the color palettes that we like and some of the marks that we create. So I like to gather these little bits and pieces and then start to pull together some ideas using AI. So this is just one example. I wanted to show this one because back in, I think these were made in like 2013 maybe. I love this idea of pulling together a bunch of different pieces that you've painted. And let me move this down because it's kind of high up there. Let's see if I can make it farther back. No, that's as far as it's going to go. But these were these hanging journals that I made, and I actually sold a lot of them, but I love the idea of using this as your style guidebook because you could stitch together a bunch of different pieces that you've created that kind of represents almost a timeline of your work. And the fun thing about this is it's just a bunch of zigzag stitches and straight stitches that pull together a bunch of different pieces. So this could be like the foundation of the journal that you work in, or the sketchbook that you work in. And then you can add, little bits and pieces inside of each of these pages. And when you put together something like this, you'll notice that you have kind of these really cool snapshots of just like bits and pieces of your work. And you can take that further again by either scanning it or taking pictures and then pulling it into the whole process with AI and using it to inspire some of the mark making and motifs, some of the stories that you want to tell in the body of work that you want to do. So this little journal was made out of chipboard that I painted, and then I stitched on some of my hand painted and hand dyed fabrics that I made. These were all this is canvas, I think, that I painted. I painted it with acrylic, and also I over dyed it with dye, with fabric dye. And again, I think I made this back in 2013. Excuse me, I need some water. Hi, Jen. Welcome. She said, thanks for doing this, Tracy. Awesome. Thanks for being here. If you are here and just joined us, please say hi. One of the other projects that I thought would be fun to talk about creative practice and show you is the evolution of my, I'm trying to find the actual pad of paper. I thought I had one in here. I think I moved it out to the front. It's the evolution of the cover for Strathmore. So I was commissioned to do this project back in 2017, and I pulled together a lot of different resources for this. And I don't know if I actually have a picture. I don't think I put the picture of the inspiration board in here, but I did a lot of research. So with Strathmore, if you take a good look at any of the pads of their papers, you'll notice there's a common theme. Does anybody know what it is before I tell you what it is? So here's their mixed media. This was the cover before mine, and then I was asked to design a new cover. But I mean, this should give it away if you can tell what that is. Let's see. The pastel one doesn't have it, but most of the covers have. I'm trying to see if I can find another. I have a bunch of Strathmore paper here. They have something on here that is the theme that you base your artwork on. So if you didn't see these here, a lot of the covers are something to do with the thistle, and it's what their logo is also. So if you look at their logo, it's also a thistle. And so that was the inspiration behind this. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of thistle in my neighborhood, or even, where I went hiking. So I had to do a lot of research. So I scoured the internet, I looked through Instagram, and a lot of these pictures I pulled from there. There's a couple of the photos that are from my own photographs that I took, but these were the beginnings. So that's how I start often, is either, most of the time I take photos, and then sometimes if I need a little bit more research, then I will go in and actually look for photos and go to Pinterest or Instagram. This was before AI. And then it goes into a whole mind mapping process with adjectives, and I call it the adjective bank. It was an exercise that I learned from one of my professors in design school when I went to school for graphic design. So this was a way to kind of like ideate the project and to think about the concept behind the project. And so I took that idea of the thistle and really started to kind of like look at all these bits and pieces and translate them into different marks. And so a lot of this was done just with like different markers and pens, but you can start to see how you can like extract these different marks from these images in your own way. And like when I'm doing this work, I'm not worried about what the page looks like. I am just kind of playing and experimenting with different tools, different markers on different paper. I usually have like 5 or 6 different sketchbooks out. I'm working like this was with ink. I decided to change to use a different brush and use India ink for this. And then, you know, like I pulled out a bunch of just like copy paper from the from, from the from my printer. And this is where a project and how a project starts for me many times. And I will like scribble words and ideas, and it is this like beautiful story that unfolds as I am like sketching really fast or doing these mini thumbnails. So you see kind of like the graffiti writing that at the time, that was a lot of the work that I did. There was these like really big layers of collage. And so this is, oh look, I even dated it. I don't date things very often. This is actually October 2016. So it got the actual paper came out in 2017, but I guess I did work on this project in 2016. So, you know, it starts from there, like these really fast sketches, like just kind of like brain dumping with a marker. I'm not using a pencil, you know, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just using what I see in some of these and translating into really quick marks. And now, like some of these would be great to go back and use to design like a pattern collection if I wanted to use some of this to do some surface repeat patterns. And it's always fun to kind of go back through. And then from there, you know, I started to pull out some of my hard pastels, the new pastels, and my acrylic paints, some watercolor paints. And I just started like making really, I wanted this like to be really vibrant. I wanted it to have that mark making quality in a lot of my work that I did at that time. And so it's a very fast, very like textured, like on here is playing with different layers of paint. And then from that, like sometimes I just clean off my brushes, but then that clean off paper became almost like, you know, a little representation of like what the thistle plant looks like. And it's these little experiments that really start to develop our like visual vocabulary. I talk a lot about it in my process, in the frameworks that I teach inside of Ideation Playground and Inspiration Sketchbook. And you can start to see how the color palettes developed, you know, kind of from what the actual thistle plant looks like, you know, when it is growing, and how I translated that into paint and markers. And then this one is actually a little bit more finished, but you see a lot of these little experiments inside this sketchbook here. And I, again, am working like I should find the pictures for this, because it is, I took like overhead pictures of, I was just spread out on the floor with canvas, and had like probably 15 different pieces of paper like working on them simultaneously. Again, it's like as I'm working, I have these ideas, so I just like write them all down. And like I put fiber paste with color, decayed walls, gray, distressed, floral abstract, washes, bright, dabs of accents. I mean, a lot of this I can't read. my handwriting's so messy. But yeah, it is all these little pieces, and like this would make, so I could see this turned into a fabric in a whole series of patterns and coordinating prints and things like that now that I've done this project. But as I started working, then I got into kind of more of this finished look and feel of what the final pieces are. And I don't have the final pieces here, but you get to see some of that work inside this book. So when we start to pull together things for the ASG, I'm going to abbreviate, that's what I call the Artist Style Guidebook, we're pulling from a lot of the work that we've done in the past and using that to help guide what we're going to create in the future. So there's a lot of ways that you can pull all that together. Sometimes it's like in a sketchbook. So I have, well, let's do two. So here's one I made. If you are in the program, you got to see a little peek of this. This is one that I made out of FedEx envelopes and craft folders. Like this is a manila folder that is, you know, one of the pages in here. But a lot of times I'll make these journals out of just some found papers, and then start to put, you know, start collecting bits and pieces of projects or ideas inside of here. So our Artist Style Guidebook kind of brings together some of this ideation that we've done for our previous work, and you also put some of your actual artwork in there, so that you have a space where you're collecting, you know, all these little fun bits and pieces, and you can use them to help you jumpstart different projects or different stories that you want to tell, or different color palettes. So it's one great way to kind of pull everything together. So this is a photograph I took. I love leaves, and especially in the fall, I have so many photographs and pages of things that I've painted. These are paper towels that I painted with some handmade leaf stencils that I made out of my hot glue. So if you have my book, Printmaking Unleashed, this was a tutorial that I did back in, I think, like 2010 on my blog, and it kind of went viral on Pinterest back in the day. And now you see those things everywhere, but it's something that I love using. So I just pulled that. I actually took a photocopy of it, an inkjet photocopy of it, and put that in here. So you can pull together anything inside of these books. So here is more of, this was actually a collection I did back in 2020 for my paints. It was the Sydney collection. So I created a kind of collage mood board of all the photos that I took while I was on that trip in Australia, and then translated it into a color palette. And so I'm collecting all of these bits and pieces inside this little guidebook, sketchbook, so that I can use it to work with AI. And so I have, you know, just bits and pieces of other paintings I've created, different motifs, different ideas, things I cut out of magazines. So kind of anything goes. So it could be a physical journal like that. It could be, you know, like a handmade journal. These are a couple of different journals I've made through the years, where a lot of what I do in many of my books is to create these books that have different sized pages in them. This is the Color Play Journal. This is actually one of the workshops that will be inside of Ideation Playground. I'm moving my Play Collective Mixed Media Lab content into the Ideation Playground. There's a subset of the videos that will be there. So there's a whole video workshop that takes you through how to make this journal. I have been making journals since 2000, actually since I was younger, but really teaching it since 2000. And many of my books look like this. They're all different pages, different sizes, different things, lots of stitching. So this is one of the new workshops that's inside. Well, I taught it a long time ago, but it's one of the workshops that's inside Ideation Playground. And then if you wanted to collect a lot of your stuff inside of a regular sketchbook, I leave these on here because so that I don't forget like what sketchbook it is. And I'll just show you a couple of pages in here. So this is also a really fun way to kind of collect your bits and pieces of your work. And so a lot of this I am playing with the different collections of paint that I made, my pigment bars or my watercolors, to kind of show what they look like on different pieces of paper. But it's also collecting color. It's also collecting the mark making that I do with a lot of the work that I create. And so this becomes this really great reference that you can then use with in your creative practice, whether you take something like this and use it to jumpstart a color palette or a mixing, like a bunch of paints you want to mix, or you take this and work with AI to help you write a story about what these marks mean, and then take these pieces and really like start to work with them on a larger scale. And so I have, I have so much stuff that I've created over the years, and I end up having stacks of them. So this was also a really great way to start like cataloging them and to put together this really fun like journal slash sketchbook slash guidebook of the different things that I've created over the years. I think this was the Beachcomber collection from this year that I made for the winter. I think it was a winter spring. And so sometimes I will color like right into and paint right into the actual journal, but then oftentimes I staple or tape whatever it is that I want to add in there. So these fun little guidebooks are what we're using and what we're creating each week inside of Ideation Playground for the next 6 weeks. So let me come back really quick and see if we have any questions. And I'm going to show you some fun ideas of then how you take some of these pieces, like what I just shared, and put them into some of the tools that I've built. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm trying to navigate around Indy. She's right at my feet. For those of you who don't know, I have a little Yorkie Maltese. Well, she's not so little for being a Yorkie. She's 11-pound Yorkie, so she's kind of big. My other Yorkies were like 6 pounds and 5 pounds. But she likes to sleep like right at my toes whenever I'm doing a live stream. So I have to be careful not to step on her. But if she wakes up and wants to come up here, I'll let you guys meet her. But she looks like she's like completely sleeping right now. How many of you, for your creative practice and for the work that you do you have any kind of process that you work through? Do you write down ideas, or do you take photographs? I would love to know. If you want to share that in the chat, that would be great. And if you've used AI to help you throughout that process, I would love to know that too. So I'm going to show you a little fun experiment of some of the things that I've done using a couple of custom GPTs that I built. So if that term is new to you, and you're not familiar with AI, and if you've not used ChatGPT, a custom GPT is basically your own version of ChatGPT. You can train it with anything that you want. So you can create these GPTs to do to give you responses based on like a teaching framework that you do. So these two GPTs that I designed and built, they are trained with what I teach in my workshops and what I have taught for the last couple of decades as far as creative process goes. So I just walked you through the creative process for the Strathmore Mixed Media pad that I did. And that process is what I do for everything that I design or paint or build. And there are days where I go into the studio where I just pull out a piece of paper or canvas and just start making marks, where I'm just playing and, kind of letting whatever happen. But when it comes to designing collections or surface patterns, most of the time it is through that process. So I just showed you it in a mixed media way, where I took from ideation, photographs, pulling color palettes, to sketching, to thumbnails, to a larger piece. And then now I'm going to show you another one. We'll do, let's see. I'll show you really quickly how it works with the paint collection in case you missed the live session I just did last week. And you can also see a lot of these unfold in my videos on YouTube. So if you just go to the feed, there's a lot of videos where I talk about the process of different paint collections being made. And it's the what my custom GPTs that I built are trained on. So when you interact with it, when you use it, you get access to them inside of Ideation Playground. You basically can put any question or your work in there, and then you're able to get a response that helps you um, pull color palettes, brainstorm ideas for your stories for your collection, brainstorm motif ideas. It'll give you paint mixing recipes. It will give you hex codes if you want them for digital work you're doing inside of Procreate. It will even give you ideas for tutorials and things that you can work on for whatever it is that your project is. So it's been so fun to design. They're very custom to how I teach, and it gives you feedback and gives you ideas, lots of ideas. I've trained it with all kinds of different knowledge of how I would coach somebody or mentor somebody through how they design their work or give them ideas. I love brainstorming inside of Ideation Playground. Quarterly, we're going to start having these ideation sessions, which I used to do inside of my play collective, where you can come on camera and we can brainstorm and talk through your current project. And we also can use AI now, right, to help us in that. And that's one of the reasons I created this program, was really to show artists the possibilities and the things that you can do with AI, and not just a lot of people think of it negatively because of AI generative art. And I do touch on that a little bit inside of the program because I think it's fascinating, like to see how you can use your work to train some of the like Adobe Firefly or Canva AI to help generate more artwork that's like based on what your artwork is. And it's a lot of fun to be able to play and to create your own collage sheets. So I talked a little bit about that in, I think the last live was that one. I've done so many lives and teaching over the last week. It might have been in the VIP section, actually, the VIP session. So one of the things that I equate using AI to is like if you go out and buy scrapbook paper, or you go out and find royalty-free imagery or collage papers, or you go on the hunt for different magazines and or things that you find at the thrift store to use as collage ephemera. Now we have tools like Adobe Firefly and Canva AI and ChatGPT where we can create these amazing collage pieces ourselves by directing it and giving it prompts. And so if you were in either of some of the workshops I taught this summer, the Digital Artist Summit and Sketchbook Revival, and also my Studio Storyboard class, I showed how you can use those tools to create your own papers that you can then use in your collage, your digital collage, your traditional collage, and build those into the work that you're doing. So I look at AI generative art as something that is something beneficial to me. I'm not going to take a piece like that and sell it outright as my own. But there's ways that you can use it to generate, like one of my favorite things is to generate alphabet letter pages that I can then use as kind of these really beautiful layers inside of the collages that I make. And you can custom make those with sayings. I mean, there's just so many possibilities. And I think that the more that we look at it in that fashion, where you can use it kind of incorporated with your art, you can also use these tools throughout the process to help you brainstorm and write and ideate. That just opens up like this huge possibility for us as artists. And it can never steal our hand, because you all like what we create, because you're creating it from your passion, from your heart. and you will always be that step ahead. So I hope that sometimes that artists will kind of just think about it in a different way, and that's what I'm trying to um, educate and share about, is that there is this really great tool that you have in front of you that you can use to help you throughout your entire process. And especially if you do get stuck in front of the blank page, or if you're in mid piece and you want to have a like an art mentor, look at your work, you can upload it into an AI tool and ask it questions and say, hey, what direction could I take this? Is there something I'm missing that I'm not seeing? And you can really get some amazing feedback, and it can help you kind of see different routes that you might not have thought about before. So I am really excited. I'm going back through the comments just to see what everybody's saying. Let's see. Jen says, definitely take photos and have lists everywhere. Yes. She said, honestly, I've been a bit afraid of AI. Yeah. And I think a lot, there is that camp that is, and I just would love to kind of flip the script for everybody, because there is so much possibility for it in our creative practice. And not only for art, but I mean, I've used it to help plan out like macros. So if you're familiar with like counting macros for meals, I had it plan out like a meal plan. I had ChatGPT write out an off the beaten path itinerary for Paris, places in Paris for like art places you wouldn't normally think of that are, everybody traditionally visits in Paris. And so it's like those little fun research kinds of projects, or little things that, you would typically use Google for. Now you can get some really in-depth and very targeted ideas when it comes to AI. Jen says, I hope to be as organized as you are one day. I am not organized. Those journals probably are like to the extent of the organization. Like if you look right here, it is not organized at all. And neither is like my paint making section of my studio. So I actually need to hire a professional organizer. I think that would help me. And that's one of the things actually we were talking about I think we had a kickoff for the Artist Style Guidebook this week. And I was talking about organization and a project that I actually have been working on to figure out like where digital files live, because I mean, I've got videos, I've got photos, I've got physical, digital things. And I've got a body of work that spans like 3 decades. And so it is definitely something that I think a lot of artists struggle with, is organization. And I'm probably the president of the Organized Chaos Club. Marie says, I have never really planned out a collection. I just sit down something, collage, watercolor, or I get inspired by other artists. I'm so looking forward to this class. Yay. Yes. Thanks, Marie. She's part of Ideation Playground. Yes, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. Blue Bear says, very interesting. Awesome. Yeah. I think it's, with AI, one of the best ways to talk about it or to try it is to just open it up and ask questions. I mean, it's already embedded. If you have an iPhone, I don't know any about I'm pretty sure Google has it with Gemini embedded in their phones. But if you even now search on Google and most of the search engines, their first results are all AI generated. So you're using it whether or not you know it or not. You've been using it on Instagram if you use filters. You've been using it in, all kinds of different tools that you probably didn't realize. If you have Netflix, a lot of the algorithm and things that you watch, it's all done through algorithms. So There's so many different aspects of how this has like kind of uh, it's in like all of our different creative processes. So, um, or it's throughout our, I should say, our, it's all throughout like our different parts, pieces of our life, whether it's work. I know a lot of people are starting to use it a lot more in work. And um, now we have it like at our fingertips. There's so much that you can do. So, that kind of went off on a tangent. I need to get back on my program on my creative itinerary for here. But thank you. Keep sharing how you're using AI in the chat. I would love to know. And I'm going to show just a couple of demos of, let's see, let me get the right thing up here. This is kind of one of the things. So inside Ideation Playground, this is the newest version of the custom GPT that I built. So there are a lot of different things that you can do. So this one I started with, do you want to, this one asks you, so one of the prompts is, do you want to create or refine a color palette today? And then it encourages color exploration. And so I asked it to, I uploaded one of my digital collages I created in Procreate. And then I said, I'd love for you to create a color palette inspired by my spring digital collage. And then it comes back with a color palette with hex codes, gives you kind of different mood and usage suggestions, ideas of how to use the color palette, like different exercises you could try, a sketchbook prompt, and then it kind of will lead you through a path though. So it says, would you like a Procreate swatch file for this palette, a color inspiration board? So I asked for both, and it put together a file that I can download into Procreate. And then it also created an inspiration board, which I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me see if I can bring it up. I think it's not going to show because it's in a different window. Yeah, it's not. Let's see. Where can I show it? Let me see if I can add it on here really quick. So you can see. So it will, let's see, capture. Maybe it won't let me. Screen capture? No. I don't see where I can get it. Oh, well. So it actually has a, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it basically pulled some of the colors from the painting that I put in there. And then it gave me this really like nice organized swatch thing of the prompts. So I also have then taken some of the output in here and worked inside either Google or Firefly to kind of design more color palettes and different things. So I was working on my holiday collection, and these are just some of the images that I had it just create because I wanted to see what it would look like if it could take my idea for my swatches based on the colors that I had already decided for my color palette. And it's interesting. You get some really interesting results. This was for a different project, but there is so much more that you can do. So this is inside Canva AI. And one of the things that I wanted to do was design a, let's see, I'm going to make sure you can see this. Hold on. Okay, good. I wanted to design a set of swatch cards, and I wanted just to get some ideas. And that's one of the things I love AI for, is that you can, give it a prompt, and then it gives you some really great things that you can use as inspiration. I was designing something for my niece, and so I needed to get some ideas for the 7. It didn't do what I wanted it to do, but it was interesting anyways to see. I was trying to design a specific pattern, but I wanted just to show you quickly like the things that you can do. So here is another, so I test all the different AI tools. So I had it pull together the color palettes and create color palettes for me. And then I wanted to see what the outcome would be if I asked it to actually design the flat lay for the mood board. So there is that idea where you can just work back and forth inside of the ChatGPT. This is the custom one that I built, that you get access to inside of Ideation Playground. I also have been designing and building another GPT called Indigo. It's a palette muse, so you can upload photos. You can ask it to write pull together a trio of colors, and it'll give you a trio of colors with names, and then give you ideas for like paint mixing them and the different colors you can create. It'll give you creative applications, so and everything from sketchbooking to printmaking to Procreate. And then it gives you some other fun AI prompts that you can use to further explore that theme. So this is something that's in development right now, and it is something that inside of Ideation Playground you get access to it in the next probably few days. I'm working with the developer to finalize the image uploading, and we've almost got it. The only thing is you can't see the image that I uploaded on here. But it did do exactly what I trained it to do. So this particular image was a mood board I created in Procreate. It uploads it, and then basically it will give you and respond to a response that pulls the color palette, gives it some really fun names, and then tells you a description of it, gives you the hex code, and then it also talks about undertones and opacity and the different palettes that you could create from it. Also, different ways to use it. So again, like everything from painting to product development. And so that is kind of just a quick overview of what the custom GPTs do. I just ran those prompts quickly before over the last couple of days, so I just wanted to show you the outputs because we're short on time here. So I'll probably do more like real-time demos so you can see them, but it's been so fun to develop those because it is really like putting together like all the things that I've taught over the many years I've taught and using that as the guide. And if you were in my studio storyboard workshop, you got a little taste of it. I did these really in-depth reviews on everybody's storyboards in a custom GPT that I built that basically takes the work that you've created in that course, and it writes a review based on the framework that I taught it to write the review. So it's exactly things that I would say and pull out of the actual storyboard, and then it expands upon them and gives you more ideas. So that is, a big, like, high level overview of what some of the tools inside of Ideation Playground are and the things that you get access to. Let's see. Hey, Sherry. She said, I think Siri thought I was talking to her. Sherry says, I've been having a lot of chats with ChatGPT about asthma safe art supplies. Yeah, I mean, like you can ask it anything. So it is really amazing. Like the sidewalks or the street was getting paved in front of my house, and I didn't see that Indy actually was walking towards the area because it had a little barrier thing, but she went underneath and she ended up getting her little paws in the tar, but it was already almost dry, so she just got covered with a little bit of black, but I asked ChatGPT how to remove it. And like 10 minutes later, it was all gone. Like it gave me a whole way to remove it safely and make sure that it wasn't stuck in her paws. But I mean, you can use it for everything nowadays. Um, so let's see. I talked about the Indigo, yes. And so inside of Ideation Playground, over the next 6 weeks, we are doing a creative sprint, which basically is like 6 weeks of creative exercises. You get an email each week that gives you very short, like 10 to 30-minute creative exercises that you can do to help you put together the guidebook that I was just showing you, some of the things I was just showing you. And it really helps you kind of write about your work and the stories that you want to tell, or the color palettes. So you'll be pulling together your mark making, you'll be pulling together the colors that you use. And this is not just for one project, it's kind of like the lifetime of the work that you've done. And it could be anything that you want to put in here, but it's a really great way to kind of catalog everything. And then I'm showing each week how you can take what you're working on and experiment with it, with AI, and how to kind of expand on it. So we're working with mark making, color, the stories we tell, also working on creating an artist AI manifesto and manifesto about how we work and do our work and what we do in the studio. I'm going to be sharing all the different ways that you can use AI to help you further your artistic practice. And in the end, you are going to be creating this really great reference. It could be like this in a sketchbook. I think a lot of us who are in the program, we're doing both. We're doing both digital and like a traditional book. And so you can work back and forth. You have the option if you wanted to use Procreate, or if you just wanted just to put everything in a journal, you can do that too, or in a sketchbook. And then at the end, you'll have this like great like digital guidebook that you'll be able to use to train the AI. That's the main purpose of it. It's like these little bits and pieces that you can use to help you get better results when you are working with different AI tools. And then you can also then use this resource for all kinds of things, like I said earlier, mentioned earlier, for jumpstarting projects, for planning out a collection or a new product if you have a business. It could be a workshop if you're teaching. It could be a color palette for a new body of work that you want to do. So it spans like everything from putting it together just so that you have this like great reference, but it can also be kind of this legacy that you have of your work and just the history of your work. So if you wanted to have like one place where you had a lot of it, kind of cataloged, it's a really great place to pull it all together, especially if you're like me and you work on like a variety of different papers. And like, I don't work sequentially in any sketchbook or journal that I have. I work in multiple books at once. I have, some journals I made like 25 years ago that I will open up and like start writing or painting in now. So this project really helps you pull together everything and put it into this one really great space. So lastly, I'll give, for those of you who are still here, I'll give you a little peek inside. Let me go into Ideation Playground. Let's see. Let's move back here. And you can see a little peek inside of what it has. And so there is a section that is start here. So it gives you kind of really a very, I use ChatGPT the most, especially when I first started in here. but it gives you an understanding of how to set it up and how to use it. And then I talk about the different all the possibilities with using the actual tool that I built, and also just possibilities in general with AI. And then we talk about using it for project brainstorming and planning. I go deeper into just like different tutorials about different ways to use the tools. And there is a couple of live sessions and a couple of different resources. These are all being added every week. There's different things. So there's a 3-day boot camp here that goes over the inspiration sketchbook, and it's basically exactly the framework that I was talking to you all about, how I use to develop my the collections that I showed you, the Strathmore mixed media. So this is fun. It takes you from the whole creative process, mind mapping, all the way through making inspiration boards and, actually working on your project. And then there is the Creative Blueprint Workshop, which was a series that I did live, and it talks about how to kind of plan out your different projects. And then you also get access to a handful of my creative toolkits that will be in here. So there's some that are Notion based with lots of different prompts. There are some that are more PDF downloads. And then there's some that are like image transfer, black and white. And then there are a couple of others that are PDFs that help you work through, like this is planning a whole collection. So there's a bunch of resources in this one that has ideas for planning a collection. And then there are sometimes digital boards. So if I open up this, you'll get to see, this was something that I created where if you zoom in, there's lots of ideas and different things that you can access that are to do with this one theme. So
sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you repeat that?
Sorry, Siri thought I was talking to him again. But there are inspiration boards. There's lots of photos. Some of the photos I've taken, like there was the inspiration behind my Monet's Garden collection, which this was the paints that I created for that. And then there's sketchbook prompts. So there are lots of resources in here. And this is something that is new for this season. And one of the things that I'll be doing starting in October is we're going to have monthly AI for artist sessions, where these are like 20 to 30 minute live sessions where I jump on and just show you using a tool live real time to show you just like the process that I go through. A lot of the times it'll just be fun experiments, and you'll get to learn about like different ways that you can use these AI tools, because I am in a lot of them every day, just trying to play and experiment and see the possibilities. There is so much that I've done working with all of them, not just ChatGPT, but Canva AI, Adobe Firefly, Google Gemini, and there are so many things that you can do in and around our entire art and creative practice. So I am just really excited to share this kind of teaching and knowledge with you, because I love technology, and it's something that I have incorporated into my work and my business for many years. So I hope that some of you will join me. There are links in the descriptions if you want to join us. And if you join now, you get access to the custom GPTs that I've built, and these new AI for artist sessions that I'm going to be doing each month, and a variety of other resources. We also will be transitioning the Mixed Media Lab Play Collective content into Ideation Playground. So this is like 15 years of my workshop vaults that will be inside of that. and it's an archive of some of my courses, a bunch of videos. I think I have, I don't know, over 1,500 videos that I have created, probably more. But we're starting off with like probably about 300 videos that you'll have access to that range from all kinds of different mixed media courses and techniques to you'll be able to search by like collage or Procreate or digital collage, swatching. So you'll be able to kind of pick and choose what you want to work with that day. But the main thing that we're going to be doing is really talking about creative process and how you can really just start working and building a body of work that is inspired by the things that you love, the things that are you're passionate about, and how to bring all of those different things into your creative practice. So I didn't get to share the Wild Terrain collection because I ended up sharing the mixed media work that I did with the Strathmore book. So I'll show that really quick if you're still here and you want to see it. I'm going to switch to my desktop one more time and show you the process for that too, because it's very similar. If you missed the beginning of this session, definitely go back. I start with color palettes all the time and photographs. These are all photographs I took for this series. I had just got back from 6 weeks staying with my family and visiting, and I took a lot of photos on the beach there, and I wanted to use that as the theme, and so I pulled the color palettes from that. I did a little bit of brainstorming and work back and forth with ChatGPT to kind of finalize colors and finalize the story. I told the story, but I had ChatGPT help me kind of help me kind of like refine it, and also Ideation Playground. I actually used my own custom GPT to help me write and to help me name colors. So this was the collection, some of the collection that was built, the watercolors, some of the tile watercolors. So these are the mini tiles, and then this is a well-loved and well-used larger tile that is part of some of the for the subscription. And then the pigment bars. This is my wax paint that's in a bar format, and so that became the collection based on this process that I'm talking about that I just walked you through earlier today. And then from there, as I'm working, these are some of the swatches as I'm building out the actual collection of paints. And so I kind of like create a record of the swatches as I'm working. And then once they're finished, I usually will do another fun like paint and swatch workshop to show you like how things work together, how they layer. So, and on different papers. So this is inside a little journal. There are more swatching and different, like just playing with the actual collection. So then you get to kind of see all the different pieces and the colors that are part of this. This particular collection is called Wild Terrain. So it was based on a lot of the hikes that I did in Australia, in Oakland Hills, and in Hawaii. So that's why you've got a really earthy palette of colors. And so that is how I go about developing the paint collections in that same kind of framework of what I shared when I designed the my mixed media collections that are based on a theme, or my mixed media painted collections, I should say. So, does anybody have any other questions? Blue Bear says very nice, thank you. She said wax paint as in encaustic. No, it is not encaustic paint. It can be used with encaustic paint. There's no beeswax or resin in my paints. It's just purely plant-based wax and pigments. And they are, let's see, where did I put them? I just moved them. Hold on really quick. Okay. So if you've not seen them before, go definitely after this, go through my YouTube videos. I have a ton of videos that show you what the pigment bars do. So you can use them as drawing tools. Actually, let's do it this way, since you might not have seen them. So you can use them heated or dry, like this, in this bar format. And they are very creamy and just beautiful colors. They're multicolored. So if you look at the side, you'll notice like they have different colors in the actual bar. As you look, most of them have like 2 to 5 different colors inside of the actual bar. And they are so fun to use for mixed media. You can use them with oil paint, with acrylics, with watercolor. With watercolor and acrylics, you can use them as resists. If you use them with oil paints, you can mix them with encaustic, with different waxes. So each side is kind of got a different color. So sometimes you have a darker color on one side. This has like 3, it looks like 2 or 3 colors. So if you look at it closely, there's this beautiful like olive green, and then more like a green gold. There's a little bit of yellow at the bottom of the bar. And so you kind of never really know exactly what you're going to get until you start playing around with them. Because when I make these, they are all done in small batches, and that's the same color I just did. And they are layered all differently. So there's a little purple on that side. I think there's a little bit of blue on this one. And so each side has a different color. And then you can take the 2 colors, and so I can put down a little bit of the purple, and then I can take the blue side and mix it, and then I get a whole nother color. So the beauty of using them like this is that you can block out color very quickly. But then if you use them heated, it's even like there's so much more you can do with it. Let me show you just some swatches of the heated. You can see the difference with when they're heated versus not. So like these are heated, these are dry. So you can see you get a little bit more kind of like more pastel kind of texture. When you use them heated, you can get really opaque, a little bit more opaque color out of them. I think I have some, this was like half and half. So some of this is heated, like I pressed it on the griddle to make it hot, and then I drew with it. So you get some of that. But then you can also see like you get just different marks with them when you're painting versus drawing, like heated versus just drawing with them. So these are usually only available if you are part of the Pigment Bar subscription. But for some collections, I do limited edition boxes. So like for the Woven Her Stories collection, I had a separate box that you could purchase. I'm thinking about next year maybe having like a couple of standard sets available like at all times. So it's something that's on my maybe list. If you're interested, let me know. I thought about doing like a landscape set that might be available like all the time, so we could keep it in stock, which might be kind of fun. I've never done that where you cannot buy them individually, but you can buy them in sets. It's just that it would be too hard to do everything individually because I don't name each color that I put, and every bar is different. So when you buy a set, you get that set of colors and they're mixed into the bars. So it's a really fun art supply to play with. Let's see. She said, nice. I've seen your beautiful watercolors, but haven't seen these before. Yeah, so I started designing the pigment bars and selling them in, I think it was 2022 or 2023. No, I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look at my Instagram. But I have made like thousands of those little bars, like hand poured thousands of those little bars. And They're all so different. They have different layers in them. So if you were to cut them open, you'll see. I think I cut a couple of these open because I was showing my class. Let me see if I can find one. There was like one that had like a small section on it. I don't know where it is now. I don't know where it went. But if you were to cut them apart, you would see that there are like little like confetti pieces in the center. So then when you start to use it and the color goes down, you get all these other little surprise colors. So I call them confetti bars because there's like these little confetti wax pieces that are like embedded in between the layers. So they're multicolor, and sometimes there's like a little bit of metallic flake on them. So when you use them, that metallic flake gets kind of embedded into the wax also. So sometimes they might have a little bit of mica. I usually paint with them using a glove, but definitely go through my Instagram. I mean, my YouTube videos. You'll see a number of videos that use the pigment bars. I have a couple of really good ones that talk about like different papers to use for the substrates. I show like mixing them in heated and just using them as resist with acrylic and watercolors. So they're really versatile mixed media tool. They're a lot of fun to play with, but they're usually only available limited edition, so they sell out quite quickly. The holiday collection will launch sometime in October. So there'll be definitely pigment bars for that. That's probably one of my most popular collections, besides usually the anniversary collection. So, okay, everybody, I would love to have some of you join me in Ideation Playground. So if you are interested in really diving into your creative process and your artistic practice and AI and how to incorporate it throughout the entire process, and you want to just join a fun group of supportive artists, we had a really great kickoff call. I do half of the teaching I do like this, where I'm doing it live, just kind of sharing the techniques, and then during these creative sprints, we're doing Google Meet sessions. So you get to meet everybody online, and it's a lot of fun. It's been fun to see everybody's faces and get to know everybody a lot better. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. If you have additional questions, you can go to tracybautistacolor.com, and there is a customer care chat on the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little icon. And if you have questions that you want answered, or you can leave questions here on the YouTube video. But I would love to have you join us. We have a really great group of artists from all over the world who are inside of Ideation Playground. And you get to experiment with a lot of the new AI tools that I've been developing too. So thanks, everybody. Sending you lots of love, and hope you get time to spend in your journals. If you are part of the Tracy Bautista Color subscription, and or if you purchase the Woven Her Stories, I gave a little sneak peek at the beginning of the video, so you might want to check it out. Everything's going to start shipping later next week, so you will start to see those in your mailbox soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining me live, and I will see you in the next YouTube Live. Take care. Bye.